Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you'll learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of this Satsang session. If you direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of satsang, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The satsang that you will learn today is an inner satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, you'll receive instructions on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs. And during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England, facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
um, like literally is a volunteer, and we all are helping each other. So, you know, people who are at higher levels, contribute to the group energy, and that then helps others to uplift themselves as well. So, really, really appreciate everyone being here. I think the first, so the way my grandfather, Guru Maharaj, actually structured this, it's like there is a time to transition into this meditation. And so everything before the deep silent meditation is transition in, because we're all caught up in so many things. So you need a little bit of a switch. So he structured some of that, take that time to learn a little bit. Um, and in that process, you concentrate, you focus a little bit, get your orientation towards get ready for meditation. Then music helps. And then this time is again, there's no need to talk of if you don't need to or don't want to. Um, it's more of time to absorb the energy that we just experienced. Um, but before, so the first part I have structured a little bit. The post meditation part is still um, being structured a little more. So we'll start the whole idea, and this was more than a couple of years ago, was to have panel discussions after the session. So while you absorb the energy, you also learn a little more where people are discussing topics related to meditation and the whole journey, etc. But till then, it's your time. Feel free to, you know, ask questions, unmute yourself, and uh-oh. Did I do this? I'm sorry. This was my phone. So yeah, you can ask or comment in the chat. And sometimes I see more videos than I'm seeing today, but that's also completely up to you. But yeah, let's keep at least, I think it's almost top of the hour. So for the next few minutes, any questions, comments, thoughts? It only helps others. There are no stupid questions. It only helps others because not everybody like to ask questions, or for that matter, comments. So Liz, how are you?
Happy Saturday. I am well. It was great to meditate as always with you all. And I appreciated, again, the discussion at the beginning. Two things came to my mind that I thought maybe I could comment on. One is I like the length of the meditation, because sometimes it's easy to dip in and seamlessly move into it, but other times it takes a while. So I like that you leave more than enough time to transition in and out. And that is with and without music. Even the silent portion is extremely helpful, the length of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I wanted to say. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, I was thinking about what your friend had said, or your acquaintance at dinner, about why give up this lifestyle. And I'm not suggesting that you go all in and try to persuade, but sometimes it is a matter of persuasion and a matter of maybe he doesn't fully realize the extent to which it can actually help him, right? Like if the goal, if I imagine, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here, I imagine that some of his goals might be health, improved health,
Right.
but also, if he enjoys a certain amount of, and this is probably going to run counter to the spiritual elevation that we often try to reach here, and or the goal is, but if he actually wants to do well, like in his position of power or whatever it is, actually it could enhance that, because you don't want to be, as we've said before, you don't want your emotions or your aggressions in the driver's seat. You want to have control actually over that. So it's even more powerful to be able to pull out the strength when you need to, and then pull out the peace when you need to. And you can't necessarily do that if the aggression is in control or and the balance is off kilter. So in some ways, maybe he just maybe doesn't understand. And I'm making a lot of assumptions. I'm not trying to be judgmental, because I understand where he's coming from. But for his sake, like, there are so many reasons why he could implement this as a tool in his life to help him. It could only help.
Yeah, actually, that was acknowledged. It was that was acknowledged that it will definitely help, and you know, I think yeah, sometimes I feel that there is either a trigger point um, um, or almost you know, it's I don't know, it's like maybe calling it a calling would be a little too much, um, but there was acknowledgement, and he actually does want to join these sessions, and um, yeah, maybe
Then I'll be mindful not to talk about him again, just in case he pops in. I'm sorry. It's very intriguing though, that situation.
So there is another thing that if I look at before I actually got to sharing this with others, I was using it for myself, right? I mean, literally. And so I was born in this satsang family. Meditation became like, so Guru Maharaj has said, like, after 16, you get into this practice because till then uh, you know, you're still evolving. This is a deep practice. So at 16, I got into it, and it was like very seamless. And and I personally think that it did help me in uh, every aspect of my life, um, and growth, um, even quote unquote worldly or materialistically speaking. Um, so yeah, I think it is, and I'm trying to write something about satsang as a holistic lifestyle, and um, you're right. I think if we articulate it in so many ways that, in this lifestyle, service will become part of your, um, you know, um, will be integral to your lifestyle. What you eat will be, you will think about these things, your physical and mental well-being, all that is integral to the practice in so many ways. And Guru Maharaj has written about all these subjects, which I think I need to bring together into these sessions as well in a more deeper fashion than before. So that's a to-do. Yeah. So Eddie, what's on your mind?
Just point out one relationship that may be important and helpful to folks here, and that is the inverse relationship between turning inwards to become more spiritual and try to understand things like who we are in terms of self-realization, understanding our soul, and understand the higher realms of the five pyramids, and that relationship to achieving that calmness of mind, or where we sort of eliminate the ripples that are occur in our subconscious mind, and attachment. So as we turn inwards and contemplate ideas of reaching higher spiritual realms and who we truly are, we become less and less attached. So there's an inverse relationship there. As we become more attached to worldly things, we move away from our spiritual pursuits, and we basically fall back down into the lower realms of the five pyramids, which means that those ripples become more abundant and they disturb our subconscious mind, which then affect our emotions, as was mentioned earlier. So there's an inverse relationship there that we should just be aware of. So when we practice and we find ourselves throughout the day thinking more and more about spiritual things as opposed to worldly things, in terms of material possessions and fame and titles and this kind of thing, that we are indeed making progress in our practice, and that those ripples that occur in our subconscious mind are becoming less and less. And Sanjeevji has said earlier that once those ripples are eliminated, that's when we achieve yoga, or sahaj samadhi, or union with the creative force, or where everything started. So that's one way people always ask the question, I don't know if I'm making progress. I don't know if I'm making. How do I know if I'm making progress? That's a very good way to determine this. Throughout the day, are you thinking more about spiritual things and less about the material, worldly things and worldly matters? Because if you are, that's proof that you're making progress, and you're actually having benefit. So practice is the thing that gets us there, and so we should just try to be mindful of that and practice as much as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie. So
Can I
Rick,
jump in for a second? I'm
yes.
sorry, because I have to comment on that, because as Eddie, of course, Eddie is so wonderful. I love hearing everything coming out of his mouth. And yours, and everyone here, so wise, but there's always, unfortunately, part of my personality involves challenging everything. But it's funny, because one of the things I was thinking about as Eddie was talking was, does there have to be an inverse relationship, right? Like, can you still be spiritual while still be amongst the material world? Maybe not ruled by it, but in it, and not just in it, but not necessarily like leaving it, or giving up riches for it, right? Like, I mean, it isn't, if you reach a certain level, can you just can't you be in any state, whether material or not, and still be at that level? But as I thought of that challenge to the premise, I also recall every major spiritual tradition reveres giving up things, right? Like that's how you get closer to the divine in all, if not every faith, almost every single one. So maybe there is truth to that. I don't know.
No, so I think you raise a very good point, because while Eddie was talking, there were some threads running in my head too. And one of the questions that, and this is in Indian context and, you know, deep history there. So there have been, I wouldn't call it a question, but stories and, you know, discussions on, can a king be spiritually accomplished? So, king being like he has to take care of the kingdom and people, and there are things to do, and so there is power, there is you know, a lot of, even like if you look from a service perspective, I mean, the irony of the whole thing is like public service, there is service word attached. Public service should be service of the people. So people in the people in the service of people would, you know, um, the question becomes, can those people who have money and power and, quote unquote, the worldly duties which are significant, can those be, um, you know, at higher consciousness level and achieving the highest realms in this five realm story? And the answer is yes. The challenges would be plentiful. So, so the thing is, there is actually, Mahima ji just reminded me. So there is a bunch of stories about Raja Janak, who was supposed to be a king, but very, very accomplished spiritually. So much so that people, like even sages, used to come to learn this wisdom from him. So the question I think I had been asking, and last session we were talking about detachment in this perspective, that, you know, Guru Maharaj, you know, his guru and his lineage, um, all of them were family people, uh, doing all family duties. And not that I am, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not, I sometimes don't say things that I should say, sometimes just because I feel that this was a normal, you know, situation. So why kind of brag about this? But my father, for example, had three sons, and I went into IT. One became a CPA equivalent, and went into business. And one is an orthopedic surgeon. So I am telling you, if he wasn't putting enough time, energy, and effort, this would not have happened. Um, I mean, and I'm not saying that it could have been anything else, but just that not only he was serving other people, he was also thinking about his family, his son's education. Um, I mean, I cannot even, so it's not just, I can go into in depth the amount of attention, close attention, and effort that he made. So where I am, I would not have been if left to itself. I'm telling you. So, So the thing is that people who are in this pursuit, um, according to Guru Maharaj, they should do their worldly duties even more carefully than the normal person, quote unquote. That is what is not common in any religion today. I mean, I'm going out on a limb here. It's either go devote yourself to uh, service of the church. Why are you doing that? To help people. Why can't you do that as a normal working family person? Why not? And so if we go to Zen and Buddhism, go to the monastery. Why the person who is, what are they going for? And whatever they're going for, why cannot that be done in a normal person's life? This practice, if you go back, is questioning that. And I mean, again, I don't want to talk about what I have accomplished or not accomplished worldly wise, but um, I actually, you can go on my LinkedIn and it shows how my career has grown in IT. And again, not trying to brag here, it's just that it can be done. You can be spiritually growing and you can. So, and I can take so many examples where people have done that. And satsang specifically talks about, or Guru Maharaj's way was to say, even like, um, um, you know, in Gita, um, while again it's a religious text, but there is this discussion about, um, accomplishing what you need to accomplish, act on your duties, but don't get caught up in the results, because that is where, when you're driven by results, then you get off the focus on duties, and that takes you on a different path. Again, I think it is a very deep subject, but the underlying foundation of Guru Maharaj's approach is that anyone and everyone can become spiritually accomplished, to be with light, love, and peace without giving up the worldly duties. And actually, you will do better. If you are at a higher realm, wouldn't you do your worldly duties better too? So, what happens though is that because of detachment, um, I mean, when I don't care about money, and when I don't care about like eating all kinds of safe food and living in phenomenal houses and all that, when that's not my goal, so why shouldn't I go to the monastery? Why shouldn't I go to the church and just focus on that? That is where I think um, the traditional approach or some examples would have helped. But then what happens is that, because once people detach beyond a certain point, these things don't matter. So they say, like, but Guru Maharaj's point was that, he used to live in a very nice house where, when the annual satsang happens, there are, thousands of people in that house, believe it or not. So he established a press in 1930s, a printing press in India, in that, small town, was like, but he went out of his way to work that out so that he can serve, because he wanted to write about these concepts and print them out. And he used to so many books and so many books. So he wrote books, he traveled, he taught people, and he had 5 kids. And all of them, my father was um, a professor in chemistry. My eldest uncle was a doctor, and I couldn't go on and on. So Lou, a good question. I'll leave it at that. Um, so, yeah. Actually, um, that is what we need to contemplate, that wherever we are, we do our duties that we have, at school, at work, um, at home, and continue to do ourselves a favor and continue to um, evolve. Bhanu has his hand up, is it?
Namaskar, Bhaiya.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, as I was listening to what you're saying, one thought was coming in the back of mind, and I just wanted to share that. Uh, I think the bottom line is when the material possessions become the means of service, it uh, it doesn't hurt, but the moment material possessions take the precedence over anything else, it just takes over you, and whatever uh, like the spiritual journey that we are talking about and all, and somewhere we are lost. So what takes precedence within the list of priorities and takes occupies the majority of your thoughts, that's where the key lies. Just a thought that came and wanted to share.
So Luz and Eddie, I think we should highlight this aspect, because if I look at the core strength of this practice, which I think should be highlighted, um, is that it gives you tools and um, practice and practices that help you accomplish that, to be um, you know um, continue to be um, growing spiritually, as well as it's how you articulate will matter, but um, you can be, quote unquote, a normal um, working family person, but you could be um, growing to the higher realms at the same time. So, Rich, what do you think about that? You have been quiet today. It's 11:25.
Yeah, sorry. Just taking it all in. Good Lord. I, I,
That's a good expression there.
you and I spoke the other day, and it's I just, to me, I've been doing it for so long. It's just all just so positive in every aspect of your life, and to the extent that I get away from it, my life gets more confusing and difficult to manage, and I don't manage the stress well or anything well, frankly. I'm just grateful for you now and the gang, everybody here to participate, to bring me back on this appropriate path, right? It's just so intuitively, instinctually fantastic. And so, um, yeah, yeah. So I don't know what to say, except it's just
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, something really, really, I think worth digging a little deeper. So maybe more to, because I think the differentiation here is sometimes subtle, sometimes very stark, but the idea is not that, somebody who's going in a monastery or in some way, uh, you know, uh, it's their path, but can we accomplish the same thing, while we're continuing to do what we do?
Even if we don't accomplish it and we only get halfway there, we're a lot further than most others, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, from my youth, when I did this in my 20s, it was a stress release kind of thing. And I always wondered about the claim that this was a natural thing, right? And I couldn't wrap my head around that initially, because I said, if it's natural, why do I have to get a mantra? Why do I have to breathe a certain way? Why do I have to delve into these concepts? If it's so natural, I should sit on a rock and breathe, and everything would be hunky dory. But you know, and but then you go through it, and once you start doing it, it becomes natural. But you do need to learn it. I don't think we're out of the box built that way, right? I think there is a little bit of
Yeah.
growth that you have to go through and live through some things and learn the practice. And as Eddie says, right, you got to continually do it, and then you grow. Like I said, but knowing all that I've known and all that I've gotten out of it, I'm just amazed at why I ever didn't stick with it more religiously, because it's just fantastic.
You raise a very good point here. It's natural, but then why do you and this 5 step process, like vertical climb, is not going to happen till you make an effort, because moving up takes an effort. But where you're going to um, is more natural to us, in the sense that we're made to be at there,
Mhm.
somehow slipped down there. So
I just say one other thing: the smiling aspect. As far as I find myself as I get older, right? I'm dealing with professionals half my age and younger. Um, Oftentimes I've got this goofy grin on my face because I'm enjoying talking about the weather or how the kids are doing. And my kids are grown, your kids are too. That's amazing. And so everybody just gets, it's infectious, is my point, right? And I can't help but be that way anymore,
yeah, right.
And so uh, I'm kind of proud of that because I can't
Yeah,
get
me
past
too.
all the nonsense, right?
Yep.
And I don't know how to be any other way anymore, which is something I think it's achieved through hard life, but also, the meditation certainly helps, you know, understand what's more important ultimately, right? And what's most important.
Totally agree. So, um, thanks everyone. So Eddie, probably you can, uh, you know, wrap up this complex topic for us today. And Steve, I think I wanted to get to you. It's 11:30 now, but maybe next time.
So we're all here today because of our own doings. And I just wanted to make mention that we have to trust and believe in ourselves. And as we practice uh, Ram Ashram Satsang, our intuition obviously is going to develop, and so we should let it do that. Yes, use our reasoning minds, but also listen to that inner voice within ourselves, because it will be developed, and that's probably why you're here today, actually. So continue doing that, and on this path, and you'll eventually get to where you want to be.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Be the light. Have a great week ahead. Light, love, and peace be with you. And hope to see you all here soon. Thank you so much, AC and Jeff, Luz, Rich, Taru, Renuji, Onkar, Rajni, Poonamji, Anu, Steve, Geeta, Mahimaji, Meenakshi, Eddie. Take care. Yuan, thank you so much.
Thank you, G. Good night.